Hi everyone, this is Mandy from Own Your Story. This week I am talking about detachment because that's been the theme of this week. I've been posting daily tips on how to detach ourselves from the outcome. So today's agenda is talking about what detachment is, or what I mean by that. I'm also going to share the 4 tips. So if you've been reading it, great. We're just going to expand on it a little bit more. And if you haven't, then you can watch this video and read the tips after, because I'm probably going to do a better job. I don't know if I'm going to do a better job explaining it here or in a post. But either way, it's about detachment this week. And I can't believe it's already November. So I've actually been posting a special for November, which maybe I'll talk about more so next week because I feel like this video is going to be really, really long. But if you have time, check out the November special. I will link it in this video at some point for you guys to check it out. But it is about this assessment that I've talked about in June. I'm talking about it again in November, and I'm offering a sale because it's November and because it's my birthday month, because it's Black Friday, I figured why not do that. So detachment, what is that? So the reason why it kind of came up for me this week is because I found myself kind of stuck last week. I just felt like things were not going the way that I was planning it to go, and I started to let it feel very heavy in my heart. And I just felt like I wasn't in the flow of things. Just things didn't seem easy anymore. It felt difficult and I wasn't really that motivated. So this week's content was really written for me, and I'm really hoping that it made an impact on anybody who was reading it, because it was a reminder that I needed to hear myself. I think so often when we attach ourselves to any type of outcome and it doesn't happen, it's so easy for us to think that there's something wrong with us. It's so easy to think that maybe there's something that's missing within us, which is why we can't do what we think we want or what we expect us to have. I think a prime example of that is definitely when I was almost hitting my 30s and I was single. And I saw all my friends get married or get engaged, buy homes together with their husbands, and I was still single. And people would be popping kids every year. We'd go to this, I remember my schoolmates, every year one of them would be pregnant and they would have a child, and every year I would be bringing a different boyfriend because just my life wasn't very stable. And I felt like I was left behind. And I felt like there was maybe something wrong with me because I didn't have somebody to share my life with. So there was an attachment to outcome there, and I definitely took it very personally. And something very similar to that was happening last week. And again, I was taking it very personally. So detachment is really about not being attached to the outcome, but it's not about not caring. And it's not about not setting goals for yourself, because we all should have intentions and we should all have goals, but it's about separating ourselves it's about separating us from the goal. As in, if we didn't achieve it, it doesn't mean that we're any less of a person. It doesn't mean that we're any less whole because we didn't get what we were looking for. And so that's what I really mean about detachment, is about wanting things to happen, having goals, caring about whether something will happen to us or not, but it's also about not taking it personally when it doesn't. And so what I really needed to hear this week was my 4 tips, which I'm going to be sharing with you right now. The first one is about finding your source of joy. And when I think about this, especially when I was single, was that I had to ask myself, whose story am I in? Why did I want to get married so bad? Was it because I wanted it? Was it because everybody expected me to be married? Was it because that's what I really wanted? Or was it because I saw everyone else get married, so I naturally assumed that it was my turn as well? And so when I strip away the idea of this story, I get more realigned to what really makes me happy. And I really had to find that from within myself. And so I thought about the things that I needed to do more, what I wanted to do more of. And that led me to a lot of things. Like it led me to blogging again, led me back to writing again. It led me back to spending time with family and friends that I may have neglected when I was dating. It gave me back that freedom that I was confined to when I was like busy texting people or on these dating apps. And finally, I was able to get back to the things that brought me joy instead of the things that I felt like I needed to do in order to hit those goals or those achievements or those milestones. So for me this week, it was really getting realigned back to the things that really made me happy. And I listed them in my tip number 1, and they're so little, they're small things. You know, it's like having Dave give me a kiss in the morning before he goes to work. Today, it was something as simple as not getting rained on when I was getting out of the car to walk to the train station. So that's tip number 1, really getting realigned with the things that truly make you happy, asking yourself, what story are you in when you think that this is what you want? And a question that I always like to ask too is, what do I need more of today? That helps a lot. So those are some questions that you can definitely apply to yourself on an everyday basis and see what answers come up for you. The other one, tip number 2, was hang on to life's beauty. So it's so easy for us to think about all the things that are going wrong. It's so easy to focus on those things. But we don't spend the time to think about the things that are going right in those moments when things are going wrong. And those are the times when we really need to think about it. So when I thought about everything that was going right in my life, when I was single, I was thinking about the wonderful family I had, the amazing support system that I had from my friends, especially the ones watching right now. The ones, I think about my job. I had an amazing job, and I actually got promoted that year when I was single, when I was like really trying to find myself. It was really about focusing on what my gifts were and spending some time to share that. And so blogging really helped. That was one of my most therapeutic things that I could have ever done for myself, was to start writing again. And it was so powerful when I was writing for myself. And so I hope that when you were reading through these tips this week, you really felt like I was talking to you as like my friend, because it was definitely something that I needed to hear. The third one is about being present in the moment. So this one takes a little bit of vulnerability, I think, because oftentimes we're so caught up in planning for the future or waiting for the next shoe to drop that we end up developing these coping mechanisms in order to protect ourselves. And that doesn't allow us to be very vulnerable. It actually sometimes makes us build up these walls so that we don't allow ourselves to get hurt. And so the question that I asked today when I was sharing the tip was, how would we be connecting differently with others if we took the armor off? How much more brave, or what would we do with our lives if we took the fear out of the picture? And so if we did all of those things, we would be so much more present in the moment. We would be living in the moment, and we would be sharing our most authentic selves. And I truly believe that when we are our most authentic self, that is when we are the best version of ourselves. And I had this long debate with my coworker about, what does authentic self really mean? You know, if I'm normally angered, that is my authentic self. And I'm being inauthentic when I try to hide that. And I had to disagree with him, because I feel like your authentic self comes when you strip away the fear and the worry and the stress. If you took those away, how would you be showing up? That to me is your authentic self. When we are angered, it is because we are coping. We have put up a wall. We have decided that we can't accept what we're hearing, and so that's how we cope. I don't believe that is your most authentic self. And so that's definitely a question that I want to present to you. And even if you're single, I mean, this is a question that I've asked a client before. If I told you that you were going to find the love of your life, but you had to go through 3 very difficult heartbreaks before you were able to find that person, would you still show up? And the answer is yes. The answer is always yes. We just want some certainty. Unfortunately, we don't always get that. So how can we continue showing up as our most authentic selves, even in moments where we're not sure what the outcome is? And that takes a lot of vulnerability, and that takes a lot of courage. And it takes practice, because don't get me wrong, I'm still practicing that on a regular basis. And then tip number 4. So I'm going to share this tomorrow, but I'm going to share it with you right now. Tip number 4 is about trusting the universe. Yeah, this one's big. This one actually totally helped me when I was single, because I had very little faith that things were going to happen for me unless I did something about it. That's why I was always on these dating apps. That's why I was always checking my phone and making myself available. Because I didn't have any faith in something greater than myself that it was going to happen for me. So trusting in the universe is really about leaning into your faith. Believing that there is a greater plan for yourself that you never even dreamed of. And something that I loved was when Gabrielle Bernstein on her Super Soul Sunday, she was talking about how to surrender to the universe. And they said, you know, God laughs when you make plans. And I think that's true. You know, he has a much better, greater plan for us, and we can't see it because all we think is that our plan is the best plan. But all we're doing when we're in so much resistance or in control is that we're just getting in the way. And so it really is about leaning into faith and having that understanding that just because it didn't happen for you today doesn't mean that you're not deserving of having that at all. And that was an eye-opener for me, because for a long time I thought that I was not deserving of love because it didn't happen for me. And that really took a toll on my self-esteem. And it took a lot for me to finally realize that it has nothing to do with whether I was enough or not, and everything to do with whether I believed I was. And so really leaning into that faith is huge, huge. And so I definitely encourage you to practice that. And it does take practice, constant practice. I'm still practicing right now. And so it really is about surrendering to the universe and knowing that everything is going to be okay. So really, that's it. These are my 4 tips to becoming detached, to being more present in the moment and showing up more authentically. If any of this resonates with you, please send me hearts and likes. And I will think about what I'm going to share next week, because I don't know what I'm going to write about. Like, right now I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty much in the flow again. So this week has really helped me, and all these tips have personally helped me as well. Anyhow, thank you so much for joining, and I will see you again next week. Bye.